Welcome to the TheFeed Nightcap for the week of August 3rd. This is G4's weekly wrap-up and impromptu poetry slam. I'm Billy Berghammer, Director of Gaming Editorial for G4TV.com, and your host for tonight's program. How's it going, guys? This is episode 2.
We're on a roll.
Woohoo! So excited.
We got picked up for a full season.
Yeah, for 2 episodes. But I have to say thanks to all the people that made comments on our first show. It was really neat to see on our site and other sites, getting instant messengers, tweets, and things like that on NeoGAF. I guess the kids over there liked it, and so we're still here. We're still in business. So
they don't like anything.
This is true. Thank God you're still a moderator. Anyway,
No, I'm not. Not for a couple of years.
Don't put that on them.
Oh, they still like you. Anyway, your crew for tonight's nightcap is Andrew Pfister, and we also have Patrick Klepek and Sterling McGarvey rounding out our crew for this evening. So just like last week on this week's show, we're going to be covering 3 of this week's news stories. This is Vegas is still coming out. Left 4 Dead is costing monies on the 360 and not on the PC. And we've got some new details on Final Fantasy 14, which I'm very curious how we all...
X1V53.
Yes. And then we're going to be hitting up our weekly reader question. It's going to deal with the future of the first-person shooter. And as always, we're going to wrap things up with our game of the week. And if you're crabby this week, if you had a craptacular week, you might want to stick around for this one because I think it was very cathartic playing this game. Absolutely. So let's get to it here. The top 3 news stories. Patrick, take it away.
Yeah, the first one, this is Vegas, which is a game that's Surreal Software, the guys that made actually a pretty underrated horror game called The Suffering. And they also made a pretty terrible sequel. But they've been working on this game. This in Vegas is an open world Vegas game, which I haven't seen in person, but I'm a big champion of. And there was a rumor going around because there was some pre-order. There were notices from retailers going out the pre-orders are getting canceled. So I contacted Warner Brothers and tried to find out if they're still working on it. And Warner Brothers issued a brief statement saying the game's not canceled; it's still in production. It makes me very happy. But you were very adamant that this is a terrible thing that this game is still in development.
Last time I saw this game, I threw up a little bit in my mouth.
So you've seen it?
Oh, yeah. A couple times.
Did you play it?
No, I personally didn't play it.
You didn't play the wet t-shirt minigame where you have to try and wet the t-shirt in 30 seconds or less?
Yeah, you're like one of the...
A good one?
Not
because I saw that demo, and that is hysterical. I will fully pay $60 for a game where like so much money was clearly invested in this game. This is a very expensive looking game, and I don't know why it exists.
I haven't seen it for I haven't seen it for like a year, and I know you're really excited. But were you one of the people that bought the Guy game too?
No. Well, that was taken off shelves because that had an underage.
Yeah, I know you went to Target right before it was over.
eBay.
You bought one. It's
eBay.
True. But no, I mean they're doing some interesting things. It just doesn't. It's not the open world game that I think people would really like to see that's set in Vegas.
What is the open world game?
I don't know. Grand Theft Auto.
Dead Rising 2.
GTA San
Andreas.
Andreas.
I think did a pretty good job with Vegas.
I can think of a variety of things I would rather be doing in Vegas than playing the gaming equivalent of a tribal tattoo.
It's like the spring from the description I read. It's like the spring break version of Vegas.
Yeah, I mean,
not like the crime drenched awesome version.
Like from
of
what
Vegas.
we saw when it went beyond the wet t-shirt contest to the part where you like grab some dude who's like misdressed in your club and start wailing on him, and like tribal prints come off of your fists every time you punch him in the face.
There's dancing mini games on the dance floor.
Oh,
Yeah,
and
tribal tats.
Tribal tats.
It could be a Wii version. You use the Wiimote to do tramp stamps. It's got some
I hope there's downloadable Ed Hardy shirts that these dudes can
exactly.
wear too.
There's a
Great.
lot of possibilities. So I stand behind this only because it looks so awful that I really just want I want to see it to conclusion. Like I want this game to come out. I really want it to happen.
Not the Vegas I want.
The minute you pick up that controller, you're going to be like,
I'm not saying
why
I'm
did
going
I
to
do
enjoy
this?
the game. I'm not saying it's going to be a good game, but like as a joke, like for the same reason I wanted Duke Nukem Forever to come out, not because I had any confidence it was going to be any good. I just want to see it happen because like I just can't imagine why this game exists and why it looks so good.
I can't imagine
you
why
have
you're
weird
so
taste.
Yeah, seriously.
I watch a lot of B horror movies, so
That would be a good setting.
Maybe
for
they'll
Vegas.
pull. I mean, I haven't seen it in a year. That was last time I think I saw it at a Midway Gamers Day. It was like
Billy,
a
this
year
is not a game that you have to give the benefit of the doubt for.
No, hey, I'm just saying you never know what they're gonna turn around in a lot of time. And did they say it was coming out this year?
No, they've just said it's in production, which could mean a whole lot of things.
Yeah, this is Vegas next year.
What I remember them specifically mentioning was that it was supposed to be like an open-ended world meets like the lightness of a Will Ferrell comedy. Except maybe it wasn't. It's not going to be funny.
I don't know. Will Ferrell's movie bombed compared to a Las Vegas set Hangover movie, so maybe that's not bode so well to bank on that. Another story this week is that Left 4 Dead 2, or not Left 4 Dead 2, but speaking of Left 4 Dead 2, the Valve announced that there's going to be a new campaign, downloadable campaign for Left 4 Dead coming the end of September called Crash Course. It's set between No Mercy and Death Toll, so it doesn't take place after the events. It's kind of sandwiched in between two of the existing campaigns, and it's going to be free to download on the PC, but they're being essentially forced to charge you $7 on the Xbox 360. Bringing to light a struggle that Epic Games had with the original Gears of War, where they wanted to release maps for free, just like they've done forever with all of their Unreal Tournament games. But as a result of Microsoft's policy, they were forced to charge for it, and were later able to make it free. And maybe that will be possible with Left 4 Dead, but so far Valve isn't saying.
Yeah, well, Valve was, when I talked to Gabe Newell, I think last year at Leipzig, they said that they had to charge. That's the deal. That's the deal with Microsoft. There's no free content, especially when it's a big download, such as like a DLC for Left 4 Dead. So I don't know. A lot of people are bitching about it big time. Like I saw Gerstmann last night tweeting about it like crazy. Like he was just like back and forth. But, couldn't understand why people are complaining about it. It's free on Steam, but it's not free on 360. So,
I think rightfully so. People should be bitching, but it depends on who you're bitching at. Like you shouldn't be bitching at Valve. Valve is offering it for free on the PC, which is their way of saying this isn't our fault. We would give this to you if we could, and this is the same reason we haven't seen any updates for Team Fortress 2 on the 360, because it makes no sense for them to go back and do any updates to that until they've completed doing updates on the PC and just charge you for one big pack.
And that's what Gabe and Doug said, that's what they're going to do at the end of when they do all the different character class upgrades and things like that. They're going to package it all in one big thing that
but by
people
then,
have to pay $20 for.
Are people still going to be playing it on 360 when it's all done?
Who knows? Like
you could do interesting things. You could relaunch the game again. Essentially, you could be selling it again. Like with
where do you guys play Left 4 Dead? Do you play it on PC or do you play it on 360?
360.
360, but I'm interested in PC now.
Yeah, I played on PC, but I'll buy it on 360 as well.
Buy the map pack. I've got no problem paying $7. Like I've been regularly paying Fallout downloadable content like over 5 times over the past year. Like if it's good, compelling content, I have no problem with it being $7. I just, like everyone else, if it's free elsewhere, it would be nice if it was free.
And kudos to Valve, they're tying Left 4 Dead 1 together to Left 4 Dead 2 with this content. So
and imagine that Valve doing something that they said they do. Complainers, shut up.
Seriously,
just wait, be patient.
Yeah, so it's an unfortunate situation, but I'm excited for the campaign regardless. And then the last news story we're going to talk about this week is not something I can say too much about, but I want to set up for the hardcore World of Warcraft players that we have here right now. I won't point any fingers.
Thanks.
Really,
I've quit the game like 7 times, and I finally canceled my account.
It's the ex-girlfriend I can never, ever, ever, ever get rid of. She still looks hot. You see that new trailer today? Anyway, news.
No. I don't know what patch 3.2 means.
Dude, when a patch gets a trailer like that, that's awesome.
It means $15 this month again for me or my wallet. Anyway.
Final Fantasy 14 X1V. I hope I'm getting that right. Essentially, there was some new information that came out from Famitsu. They interviewed the game's producer Hiromochi Tanaka, saying essentially one of the big changes with 14 is that there's going to be no experience system, no leveling up, which is totally opposite of every other MMO or typical RPG sort of gameplay design. And so I guess as MMO players, like, what do you think of that? And like, what would you do if World of Warcraft did the same thing?
Well, there's going to be some sort of progression. Obviously, they talked about maybe transferring that from your character to the equipment and the items and weapons
the job class
and the job classes. So to me, it sounds like Final Fantasy Tactics Online.
Yeah,
but I'm okay with that.
I'm not.
Why not?
Because like when you're, just talking to somebody else that plays WoW, you're like, what level are you? Oh, I'm a level 74 mage for the Alliance. You know exactly what the hell you are.
Yeah.
Maybe like, oh, I got this really awesome cloak and this hat and a sword and shoes, and my job is I'm a blacksmith with specializing in whatever.
But in WoW, you can also be identified by like your tier sets.
True.
And I think maybe it'll do that.
But it's just a quick and easy way for you to say, like, this is where my character is. But everybody likes to ding, when you hit
that's
that
what
level,
I was going to say. Yeah, like
feels...
that's a mechanic like built in the game. People are like, I can't wait till I get to 70. And
dude, last weekend I leveled up twice and I got this, and I'm really curious about how that's going to turn out, because did you guys play Final Fantasy 11 at all? Like,
briefly.
It was a
before it turned me
ginormous
off.
grind fest, and I
Yeah.
know there's an audience that really liked Final Fantasy 11, but it was an awful grind fest, and I played the hell out of it. But once I started playing WoW, I'm like, oh wow, this is actually a lot of fun. And Tanaka was a huge EverQuest fan, and that's where Final Fantasy 11 came from. And I was hoping that when they were going to work on 14, that he might take a cue from WoW a little bit, because there's a reason why WoW is so fun. There's always that carrot leading you to the next thing. You always get a good drop. You always get something new that keeps you playing, keeps you coming back for more. There's always new content. It's just fun.
Did you play Tactics though? Final Fantasy Tactics, Tactics Advance. That element exists in those games. It's like I'm maybe 3 or 4 points away from getting my next weapon, which opens up 2 more abilities for this weapon, which then opens up to my next available job, which I have been waiting for, working on for like the last 20 levels.
Well, like any of that ties directly into
There's going to be a carrot.
A quote from Tanaka that says, the system in Final Fantasy 14 will become something completely different. The focus here will be on weapons. Your weapon will determine how you play. Your weapon will determine how you fight. So it kind of seems like they're instead of tying it into a number like level whatever, level X, it's that by looking at someone's weapon, you will know everything about their character, where their level stands, like what their standing is. So I think they're just kind of, because as someone who doesn't play MMOs, and the idea of the grind is a real turnoff, regardless of how maybe it works better in WoW than it does in Final Fantasy 11, is that the idea that I could jump in and I could be different. I don't have to grind away. I mean, I know there's gonna be a grind regardless. That's built into MMOs, but the idea that it's not just like a level system, like I don't know, that is sort of more appealing, especially now when it's like when I look at World of Warcraft. I've never played it. Even if I was to get into it, the idea that like getting to level 80 and like already knowing that's like 100-hour climb, like at that point I'm never going to jump into it because that's just so daunting.
It doesn't take that long.
That's always
super
been,
easy.
That's
But to
always
some-
been
and
one
you
of
don't
my
have to play
barriers.
it.
to someone new to it, like, oh, I have to start at level 1. All my friends are level 80, even if it didn't take them
Yeah, but
very
you
long.
started, especially if you start right now. I mean, not that I want to talk about WoW, but I mean, it took me forever to level up in Final Fantasy 11. And granted, that was one of the first MMOs that I ever tried to play, but it honestly was a super grind fest. And I hope to God they learn from that, because I would love to see a really good Final Fantasy MMO. And I'm not saying that 11 wasn't, but it just didn't grab me like
Right.
WoW did, or any other MMO that I've tried lately. So
I mean, to be perfectly honest, I look at basically MMOs prior to WoW and the amount of commitment and the fact that FF11 was like such a punishing, grueling grind fest. And then I looked at WoW and how it destroyed so many of my friends' lives, and that's it. I walk away.
And I'm
Still
glad
have the
it's coming to
interest.
PS3, because MMOs need to be on consoles. I want to sit my ass on the couch lethargically and just play.
I think it's somewhat ridiculous that we're waiting for the sequel to Final Fantasy 11 before seeing another console MMO. Just like for it to have gone that long, where like Square Enix did it first, and then they're also the ones doing it again, and we still don't have any announcement of any other console MMO. So I mean, kudos to them for doing it, and it sounds like they want to do a 360 version. It's a matter of just figuring out some specifics with Microsoft. But
So the other thing I wonder also is, I know there's a vast audience for MMOs, but what's there to be said about how they're going to stagger their release schedule? How do we know that all the loyal Final Fantasy fanboys are not going to be knee deep in 13 when they drop 14?
I think it's 2 different sets of players.
I
Yeah.
They might, yeah, and there's something to be said for that. I wonder how many people are just so diehard into the brand
or the
that
people
they're
that
going to be
have
entrenched.
sunk years and years and years into 11.
that's the bigger issue,
Yeah,
is the people
that's a
playing
huge
11,
one.
and
Are
if
they
they don't
gonna-
like how 14 works, then they have no compelling reason
Because
to leave.
11 is such a huge investment in time and strategy, and even more so than WoW, just based on like working with Milky for a long time, who's just the biggest Final Fantasy 11 player I know.
Having multiple monitors going at
Multiple
once
monitors,
during the
multiple
workday.
characters, and it's just ridiculous how much you invest into it, and I think that's going to be hard for a lot of people to give up.
It's true. It's true. Well, that's it for the news. Now it's time for our question of the week, and we're getting some good questions this week. And every week we're going to be posting a news story on the feed, and you can submit your questions. This week's reader question is from White Wolf Assassin. Andrew.
From White Wolf Assassin, there's no doubt that first-person shooters is one of the biggest genres in video games. As games continue to evolve in many aspects, so do the genres as well. What do you think we'll see in the future of FPS in the way of innovation and gameplay? Are all of our questions going to be with the future?
Yes.
Yes?
Maybe not.
We need that sound bit from the Conan O'Brien show.
In the year 3000, though?
Yeah.
We are the soothsayers.
Yeah. All right, so what are FPS is going to be like in 5 years, 10 years,
Sterling.
1,000 years?
Wow. In a weird way, I used to always make the comparison that to me, shooters were like, for this decade, what fighting games were in the 90s. It was like what the kids played, and then as I discovered, my reflexes were too slow and I sucked at them in comparison to kids. But that said, I almost feel like there'd be a cooling off period like there were with fighting games. I thought about that for a long time and wondered what would the next genre be, but no, I think that the shooter is so ingrained in, for lack of a better term, our gaming DNA that it's just a question of how it'll evolve. And, we discussed a little bit of that yesterday, kicking some stuff around. I think Borderlands is definitely one of those kinds of titles that pushes towards implementing the sort of stuff that we were just talking about with MMOs. The idea of constantly going out, going on grinds, picking up loot, et cetera, and implementing it into a first-person shooter setting. That's one way that it could evolve. And, I'm sure you guys have plenty of other plans.
I mean, it goes into something that Cliff Bleszinski said a month or two ago about essentially RPGs being the future of shooters. Like, the idea of having these hooks, these mechanics that are outside of the idea of can you get a headshot, like ways of creating a different customizable experience for the player. And I think that's absolutely true. And that's why Modern Warfare was such a success as a shooter, because the multiplayer was so much less daunting when essentially you incorporate an RPG leveling up mechanic. And the idea that like there's a progression to it, so that if you come into the game 6 months later, like you got it as a birthday gift or something, like you can get into that game knowing that like, well, if I play, I'm getting experience, I'm going to get new weapon sets. And that's why I don't play a lot of multiplayer shooters, is because like everyone gets so good, and then to jump into it is really difficult. But having an experience system, I think, is really smart, and I think that is going to proliferate into single player, like you see with Borderlands, and become much further ingrained in multiplayer. And I think that's absolutely a huge part of it.
I mean, how many times were you playing Call of Duty? It's like 1 a.m. You're like, oh, I totally need to go to bed, but I just need like X amount of experience so I can get this new gun or this new armor or things like that. I mean, it kept me playing for a very long time. So
it's one of those elements of gaming that just translates across all genres. Like the next thing, the next upgrade, the next improvement to your character, your loadout.
I'm curious to see more of what people do with online communities, kind of like what Bungie did with Halo. Mm-hmm. Being able to track a game and be able to plot strategies after a match, things like that. Saving movies and sharing that sort of thing, with the machinima and that sort of thing. I think, I want to see more of that, especially now that everybody's connected with Xbox Live or even on PlayStation Network. Like, I really want to see that increase a lot more. So
yeah, I mean, they're so far ahead of their time in terms of building that stuff in, and like it is too bad that like it's cool that they set the bar so high, but like it's very clear that what they did was massive technical hurdles, or else we would see it in more games, and like we're not seeing it in Modern Warfare 2. We're not seeing that in any of the big shooters coming out. So it's a real testament to what Bungie was able to pull off. But it's just too bad that their technology is proprietary and that we're not seeing it in a bunch of other games as a result.
Do you think they're going to do something with like ODST?
They haven't said. I mean, that would be nice, but I mean, I haven't seen anything on that front suggesting that they would.
It'd be great. I don't know. I mean, I also like what Valve's going to be doing with Team Fortress and the things that like the drops that you get. You'll be able to trade and sell the guns and things that you get in the game. So that's going to be really interesting. That stuff will never land on Xbox 360. No way. I don't think it will.
No, and one of the things I find interesting about, I think shooters more than almost any other genre, because some of the core mechanics are so like certainly put out like in-gamer DNA, it actually is the largest canvas for developers to do different things, because sort of the core mechanic of pulling a gun, shooting something, or a riff on that is so like that mechanic is there, and so you can play with everything else and do different ththings much more so than I think you can in almost any other genre.
Like to even blow that out a little more, even going back to like the first Metroid Prime, it was more exploration. They called it first-person adventure, but it was adventure, is exploration, is like surveying the scene, the Metroid sequencing, stuff like that. Continues with something like Mirror's Edge. The future of first-person shooters, I want to see divorced more from shooting. Like I loved playing through Mirror's Edge, and I hated shooting things, the gunplay in it.
Yeah.
So I want to see more of that, and things like a long time ago, people were talking about like photography game. Instead of a gun, take a camera, go into like dangerous situations and take pictures.
Fatal Frame, essentially. But
I mean, it's the perspective. You
Pokemon
don't need to be
Snap
limited
with deadly
guns.
Pokemon.
Dude, I loved Pokemon Snap. So
Pokemon
shut up.
Snap.
That game was great.
Africa. Put Africa in the first person.
But dead animals.
And better
ghosts.
Much better graphics.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Or like hunting poachers, or like whale wars and stuff like that. See, I'm keeping these ideas for myself.
You know what I
Edit
was
that out.
sorry. What I was thinking about is as I was listening to what Patrick was saying also is the idea that I think you're going to start to see more like kind of a split where you're going to see multiplayer shooters heavily based on MMO elements, and that's kind of what I was mentioning with Borderlands, and that's what you're saying with Call of Duty. But I could also see single player experiences becoming much more solitary, that they're trying to cater to two audiences: the people who buy 1 or 2 games a year and get really good at them, and those are the people that basically turn you off to playing multiplayer a lot of the time. You can't jump in and play those people. Those are the people that will be rewarded by the amount of time that they invest in a game. Whereas for single player, that's for the sort of people who want the experience, want the fun of it, but can't handle multiplayer.
But that's what people thought about BioShock, and look, now BioShock 2's got multiplayer, because that's what the one ding that for some reason that people had with BioShock 1 was that it didn't have multiplayer. And when I played through BioShock, I didn't give a damn the fact that it didn't have multiplayer.
I could have cared less, but you know,
the single player was so deep and engrossing, and the story was awesome. And that's another thing I want to see first-person shooters really take seriously, is story.
Well, and it's exactly because BioShock's shooter elements were pretty I mean, it wasn't a bad shooter, but you wouldn't necessarily
average.
compliment.
Yeah, it's just about average.
It was about competent. It had a shooter mechanic so that you were fighting enemies, but it was about exploring this world and getting through it. And like that is absolutely, I would love to see more like that. Like the carrot in BioShock was essentially like the audio diaries. Was like the reason I kept slinking around trying to go into every room and fighting every enemy was not because I wanted to fight another enemy. It was because, well, maybe there's another audio diary that's going to give me another hint about this world. And like those sort of carrots like are really compelling to me. And I'm really interested to see how they managed to balance that with BioShock 2 now that it has a multiplayer element.
Well, that kind of falls in BioShock falls in the same Metroid Prime thing, where it's more like a first-person adventure than a first-person shooter.
Yeah.
Even though it was still a shooter. Anyway, so that's a reader question. Make sure you keep an eye on the feed for either Tuesday or Wednesday sometime next week, and look for a post and submit your questions for us, and make sure you have an avatar. If you don't have an avatar, get one, or we won't use your stuff. Right, Patrick?
Google image search.
Okay, time for Game of the Week. This is where we picked a game that all 4 of us have played, and then we talk about it. And this game we picked last week, actually, after our news segment. And it's Red Faction Guerrilla, published by THQ and developed by Volition. And it's in stores now. It's been out for a while. We gave it a 4 out of 5. So I don't know, Patrick. I'm going to start with you.
Yeah, I was one of the big champions of the game about 4 or 5 months ago when I went and saw it, and everyone, we didn't really know much about the game. There had been kind of a botched multiplayer beta last year that people weren't really a big fan of, but I played like 6-7 hours of the single player game, and I've brushed up on it, since, so we could talk about it for the Game of the Week. But it's just, the game is just so much fun. Like, it does a lot of things. It's got a lot of little nitpicks, and it's like Sterling had mentioned earlier in the week in the office, like it epitomizes kind of a 4 out of 5. Like it does so many things really fun. But like it's just the things it does well. It does so well. It gets the destructibility right, and that's what it needed to get right. Like everything else is largely irrelevant. Like it doesn't matter if the missions are original or particularly interesting. Like it gets the destructibility, the ability to enter in a situation and approach it however you want. It gets that completely right, and the feeling of watching a building crumble or smashing through a wall so you can go and attack an enemy rather than like hiding behind a cover, like just smashing through a freaking wall and then hitting them with the hammer, like that feeling is like not replicated in anything else I've ever played.
It's a therapy game for me. It's like an unwinding, and not in the way where like I'm super violent, like I need to like act out on anger and like imagine that this is my boss, or no offense really, but like
Yeah, great.
but it's one of those things where it's like I feel okay playing it, like I feel cathartic. I don't know.
So you said you played like 7 hours of single player campaign? All right. So firing this up yesterday, getting out of work, we left work a little early so we could, get our game on. I played probably, I'd say 6 hours of the single player campaign. The first 10 minutes made me want to throw up. And the story, I didn't give 2 craps about at all. Like I saw exactly what was going to happen with your Nathan Hale from Resistance character who looks identical. They could have used the same model. I was like, oh, your brother dies. Great. Like, and this is why he's wants to be part of the Red Faction.
That's what the start button is for, and that's what skipping the cutscenes is for. Like that part is so irrelevant to the game, and like I wouldn't even say that's a knock against the game, because that's
it's my knock against the game because it's an open world game. With an open world game such as like Grand Theft Auto, you want to know what happens in the story. You want to be, compelled to go find the next mission, go save this person, go do this thing, or drive this car from point A to point B. And I'm like, I don't care. I don't know why I cared about his brother with a crappy mustache, and I don't care about any of these other characters. The only thing I wanted to do, which I will totally agree with you, is smash everything.
The moment you do that, you forget the fact that you hate the story.
Well, I was going to say, isn't that what Volition does? They create these open world games. Look at Saints Row. Did you really care about your gang when you were running around, like, opening up sewer lines on people and God knows what
I know,
else?
but that game was more of a goofy, and I'm not going to compare it. I shouldn't compare it to This Is Vegas, but it's...
Oh, yeah. Oh, hype machine.
Like,
Future game of the week.
Saints Row was goofy. I mean, that was a goofier style of a Grand Theft Auto game, so that was tongue-in-cheek, sort of funny.
What about something like Crackdown? The story was very light in Crackdown.
No, there wasn't a story until the end, and then there was just cops and drugs, or like your dad, like Gears, but like whatever. Like, it didn't matter. That was more fun, like jumping around. I don't know. I just, for some reason, like the story they seem to try to have this sort of deep story in the beginning, and it made me throw up.
We can pass the story. That doesn't matter. So, what is the moment you had in the game where like you raised your controller? Like everyone has that playing Red Faction.
Well, I put this on Twitter last night, but right before I went to bed, it's about 1:00, and I was about nodding off on the couch, and I ran somebody over. I clipped them a little bit with like a tank or a car and they kind of went ragdolling, and then I got out of the car and I ran up and I just took a sledgehammer and just totally home runned him in the face, like whatever. Sorry,
home run that
Seacrest.
microphone.
Sorry, Mr. Seacrest. But seriously, that was awesome. It was, and I totally agree with you. Like, I was kind of in a bad mood yesterday, so being able to like knock the snot out of everything is really, really enjoyable, and that is the only thing that kept me going. But I don't know. I'm a story whore, but I want some substance to it. I think games are getting free passes for just being fun in a certain area, and not having any story.
I don't know. I guess it was just okay that like I had this really awesome multiplayer moment where I don't know what map it is, but essentially like there's just a giant bridge in the middle, and this is my first time playing multiplayer. I didn't quite realize how far the destructibility went into the multiplayer, but just like the feeling of a guy, I was playing with one of the developers, and he went up on the bridge. He's like, well, let me show you how this works in multiplayer. And the whole team, the opposing team, is rushing across. There's like 6 guys coming across, and he just sets off some charges and blows the whole bridge as the team is running across, and they all fall into a chasm.
And they're dead.
Yeah. It was awesome.
So Skip, you and I played multiplayer quite a bit. What'd you think of the multiplayer?
I really like it. It's another one of those games where 90% of the time I die, it's from off screen, from a guy that kills me from behind, or I missed him looking one way. I turn over to see it's all clear, and I turn back and suddenly I have a sledgehammer in my face. And that gets me frustrated, but I'm not going to knock that against the game. It's more of a me thing.
But I also think that's why you can quick switch, hit A, and automatically have your sledgehammer. And that's something I learned just like you did. Because I turn around and bam.
Weapon switching is done really well in that game. So I don't know. I had a good time with multiplayer. I really like what the packs do to change it up, and you change your strategy with your weapons and your packs. So like if you do the super speed with the sledgehammer, it's good for like super melee. And I don't know, it was really well thought out. And that was my first exposure to the game, was a multiplayer event a couple months ago, and that's where I really like, okay, this is a game to watch.
But nobody was talking on Xbox Live. What's up with that? Pisses me off.
I'd rather they stay quiet, actually.
I don't know. I like communication. I think it's very important. So, big question: would you guys play through and finish the single player?
Absolutely. I'm thinking about going back and doing it later on tonight, just continuing through it. This is one of those games I'm really glad I listened to people on Twitter who said play it on casual. There were enough people who complained and said, oh, well, it's too hard. I saw what Patrick was saying, play it on casual, switch to it. My big moment was when I was driving down a road. It was like the second stage, and I'm heading to a mission, but there's like a bunch of windmill turbines you have to destroy, and there's like a propaganda thing right on the road. And I was telling Skip yesterday in my cubicle, it's like if you're dying of thirst, but there's like this amazing bottle of water that you have to get to. And in the meantime, there's a bunch of advertisers jumping out at you. And there's a dude dressed up as a Gatorade bottle who's jumping off of a cliff going, drink me. And you're like, no, I've got to get to that one bottle.
That's a really intense
That's the bottle. That's how I feel about the amount of stuff they throw at you. It's like distraction constantly in your face to go do this side thing. And you have to resist.
So you guys, would you finish it single player?
Yeah, I'm switching down to casual too.
Oh, right on.
Yeah.
I'm playing it on casual. It's fun. You can beat the crap out of everything.
My favorite moment of the game so far, and I'm just in the first area, is really playing my part in the resistance and driving over the speed limit signs and just really sticking it to the EDF. 40? No, 45. And I'm taking out your sign.
Very passive, passive aggressive way of approaching
I need to go to the
your in-game terrorism.
I just kept yelling EDF because Earth Defense Force, man. That just cracked me up. But anyway, so Red Faction Gorilla, I think we all would recommend it.
Absolutely.
Yes.
Thumbs up.
Excellent. So I think we're going to keep our game of the week for next week secret until next week. But we have it picked. It's something different. So, but I think that's going to do it for this week's show. Just wanted to say thanks for your feedback. Please hit up the thread on the feed when this goes up, and please give us your feedback on the show, what you think. We are working on an audio version of this because there was a lot of requests for that, but we will not for sure be giving up the video version because I think
we're beautiful.
We like looking at ourselves.
They like looking at your hair.
Yeah,
it's true. So so we're going to be back next week with an all new Nightcap. It's only going to be available right here on G4TV.com, and it's almost the weekend, so go play something, and we'll see you next week. Have a great weekend.